This evening, first up, more money in your pocket. President Ali confirms the income tax threshold is headed to $200,000, building on increases that have already pulled thousands of Guyanese out of the tax net entirely. Also, Toronto to Georgetown, every single day. Caribbean Airlines is adding a daily non-stop flight starting July 1st, just in time for the summer rush, and the diaspora is about to find it a whole lot easier to come home. Then, a roundabout is coming to the Soesdyke Junction, part of a $7.5 billion investment along the Linden Highway corridor that will also relocate vendors and reshape the area into a centralized economic hub. Meanwhile, the National Cultural Center is getting a facelift, new dressing rooms, upgraded washrooms, and a full modernization effort set to begin before year-end at the country's premier performing arts venue. And nearly 1,000 drones shot down across Russia in one of Ukraine's largest offensive yet. An oil refinery struck for the second time this week, and casualties reported even as Putin hosts a major summit in Kazan. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for June 18, 2026. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali has reaffirmed the government's commitment to increasing Ghana's income tax threshold to $200,000 before the end of its current term, allowing workers to earn that amount tax-free.
We said that before the end of this term, that new base will be $200,000 upon which our workers would stand. $200,000 tax-free.
Speaking at Tuesday's Edmore Martyrs Day observance, the president said the measures built on a series of increases implemented since 2020. The tax-free threshold has risen from $65,000 in 2020 to $140,000 in the 2026 national budget. According to President Ali, the successive increases have removed thousands of workers from the income tax net, with the latest adjustments benefiting about 5,000 employees and injecting more than $2 billion in additional disposable income into the economy.
78 years ago, the struggle was for dignity and freedom and recognition. 10 years ago, the struggle was to secure your job and to fight for your job. That was still lost. 5 years ago, the struggle was for a higher threshold. We delivered. The struggle was for higher salaries. We delivered. The struggle was for better pension. We delivered. The struggle was for better infrastructure. We delivered. The struggle was for better education. We delivered. The struggle was for better health care. We delivered. The struggle was for better jobs, and we delivered.
The head of state also highlighted administration's record of increasing salaries, pensions, and tax-free thresholds, stating that the government's goal is to continue improving workers' living standards and creating better opportunities for future generations. Moving on, Caribbean skies are about to get a lot busier between Toronto and Georgetown, with Caribbean Airlines confirming it will fly the route non-stop every single day starting July 1st, just as the summer travel rush kicks into gear. The added daily frequency boosts capacity on a corridor the airline says is being driven by strong business, leisure, and family travel between Canada and Guyana. Acting CEO Verma Kelwan called Ghana one of the carrier's most important and fast-growing markets, saying the new schedule reflects the airline's push to meet rising demand and deepen ties between Ghana and North America, while serving travelers headed out for work, vacation, school, or to reconnect with loved ones. The move is also expected to benefit Ghana's growing economy and its sizable diaspora community in Canada, supporting tourism and trade, as well as personal travel. Under the new timetable, flights depart Georgetown daily at 9:20 a.m., bound for Toronto, while return leg leaves Toronto at 4:50 p.m. for Georgetown. The timing couldn't be better for Guyana, which has been steadily climbing as a destination of interest for travelers from North America. While direct daily access from Toronto now in place, Industry watchers expect the route to give a further lift to visitors' numbers, building on the momentum the country has already seen from its expanding oil-driven economy, growing international visibility, and the steady pull of a diaspora eager to bring family and friends along for the journey. As Georgetown becomes easier to reach than ever before, Guyana looks set to welcome a fresh wave of visitors this summer and beyond. In other news, construction of a new roundabout at the Soesdyke Junction is set to begin as part of the government's ongoing rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Soesdyke Linden Highway. Minister of Public Works Bishop Von Edgehill announced on Tuesday during a site visit.
Linden Soesdyke Highway and the good success to Mary Road are both progressing. We are at a stage where the project will meet each other. That is at the Soesdyke Junction, where we are installing a roundabout. Secondly, the contractor Namalco, in conjunction with Guy America, have been asked to proceed expeditiously with street lighting. While the paved road has been providing much relief to residents with great satisfaction, the only outstanding concern is safety and the blackness of the road in the dark of the night. They need lights. So we have to be able to proceed expeditiously with the lighting. And the area that is presently from the hill foot coming all the way down to the Soesdyke Junction, we need to improve the surface in the areas where they're not working so we can get traffic moving smoothly. But this is something we want to be able to see moving very, very quickly.
The project is designed to improve traffic flow and road safety along one of Ghana's busiest transportation corridors. The roundabout is expected to ease congestion, particularly during peak travel periods, while providing a safer and more efficient experience for motorists. The junction upgrade also forms part of a broader plan to redevelop the Soesdyke area into a centralized economic hub. As part of the initiative, roadside vendors will be relocated to a designated, organized space where they can continue operating without being displaced. The redevelopment aims to address long-standing traffic congestions and unregulated vending, especially on weekends, while creating a safer and more structured environment for vendors, commuters, and visitors. The Soesdyke Junction project is included in the government's $7.5 billion investment along the Soesdyke-Linden Highway corridor, which also covers housing development, infrastructure upgrades, improved water supply, and preparatory works for new communities. Officials says the upgraded junction will complement ongoing development along the highway, supporting economic growth, small businesses, and long-term expansion of communities in the area. Stick around when we return. National Cultural Center to undergo major restoration and modernization. And Judge Hans Iswi 25-year sentence for killing girlfriend, burying her in shallow grave.
Hey there! It's that time of year again, and Sharon Cadogan Taylor brings you the 7th edition of Dedication to Daddy under the theme Like Father, Like Son. National Cultural Center, Sunday, June 21 at 8 p.m. VIP tickets, including cocktails in the Jazzy Lounge Plus, just $6,000. Regular tickets, $3,000. Bring Dad to enjoy an evening of sweet songs, dance, and drama, and fabulous door prizes. Dedication to Daddy 7. Sunday, June 21, 8 p.m. National Cultural Center. See you there.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. A killer who shot his girlfriend dead, buried her in a shallow grave, and fled the country to escape justice will spend the next 25 years behind bars with no chance of early release. Shaquan Allen, known as Zizwi, was sentenced by Justice Sandal Kassoon for the 2021 murder of his 21-year-old girlfriend, Shauna Dover, in Linden. The court ruled that he must serve the full 25 years before becoming eligible for parole. Allen pleaded guilty to the charge 2 weeks ago, just as his trial was about to begin. Before sentencing, he broke down in tears, apologizing to Dover's family and the nation and asking for forgiveness. In handing down the sentence, Justice Kassoon described the killing as a grave and heinous offense, pointing to the rising prevalence of intimate partner violence in the country. The judge noted that Dover was killed in what should have been her safe space, and that the crime unfolded in the presence of her younger sister. The court weighed several aggravating factors in arriving at the sentence. Allen's failure to seek medical help for Dover after shooting her, his decision to bury her in a shallow grave, his involvement of her younger sister in concealing the crime, his efforts to mislead her family and the wider community, and his flight to Suriname to evade justice. Justice Kassoon started from a base sentence of 35 years, then applied reduction for the guilty plea and other mitigating considerations, arriving at a final term of 25 years. The sentence is backdated to the date Allen was first committed to remand. In other news, the National Cultural Center is set to undergo a major restoration and modernization project this year, with construction expected to begin at the end of 2026. Minister within the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, Stephen Jacobs, said the technical consultants are currently finalizing the design phase, which will focus on upgrading both the interior and exterior of Ghana's premier performing arts venue. According to the minister, the project reflects President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali's commitment to preserving the National Cultural Center as a source of national pride, while creating a modern, functional space for local artists and cultural organizations. The planned upgrades will include extensive improvements to performers' dressing rooms, public washroom facility, and other key infrastructure. Once the design phase is complete, the government will proceed to the procurement stage before construction begins. Jacob said the project aims to strengthen Ghana's cultural infrastructure and provide a better environment for the country's growing creative sector. The restoration follows a series of previous investments at the National Cultural Center, including upgrades to its sound and lighting system, electrical rewiring, roof repairs, new stage curtains, and the installation of more than 2,000 new theater seats in 2022. Located on Homestretch Avenue, Georgetown, the National Cultural Center opened in 1976 and remains the country's premier venue for theatrical productions, concerts, and national cultural events. The upcoming rehabilitation is expected to preserve the historic facility while equipping it to better serve performers and audiences for years to come. Don't go away after the break. United Nations report on conflicts, government's leading cause of children harm, and US-Iran MOU. Washington confirms details of deal with Tehran.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hey there, it's that time of year again, and Sharon Cadogan Taylor brings you the 7th edition of Dedication to Daddy under the theme Like Father, Like Son. National Cultural Center, Sunday, June 21 at 8 p.m. VIP tickets, including cocktails in the Jazzy Lounge Plus, just $6,000. Regular tickets, $3,000. Bring Dad to enjoy an evening of sweet songs, dance and drama, and fabulous door prizes. Dedication to Daddy 7, Sunday, June 21, 8 p.m., National Cultural Center. See you there.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins tonight. Venezuela signs a deal with GE Vernova to rebuild its crumbling power grid. Ukraine launches one of its biggest drone offensives yet against Russia. A UN report finds government forces now lead in harming children in conflict. And the US and Iran reached a deal reopening the Strait of Hormuz. We will begin in South America. Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has signed an agreement with U.S. company General Electric Vernova to rebuild the country's failing electricity grid. The deal marks a deeper opening of Venezuela's economy to U.S. investment following Nicolas Maduro's ouster. Power cuts lasting over 10 hours have plagued major cities, including Caracas. Critics note that key state institutions remain under the ruling party's control despite the changes. Ukraine has launched one of its largest drone offensives against Russia, with Moscow mayor reporting close to 200 drones intercepted over the capital alone. Al Jazeera's Ferdi Akar reports.
It is one of the largest Ukrainian drone attacks on Russia's capital yet. Moscow's mayor says close to 200 Ukrainian drones targeting the city have been shot down, but several have made it through. Moscow's largest oil refinery in the Kapotnya district appeared to take several hits. An explosion at one of the silos sent its lid flying into the air. Residential buildings have been hit too. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has praised his military, calling the strikes a just response to Russian attacks. Oil refineries in Russia's Rostov region have also been targeted. Energy facilities have been under constant threat, with Kyiv hoping to incapacitate a major driver of Russia's economy. The attacks come as President Vladimir Putin begins a 3-day Russia-ASEAN summit in the southwestern city of Kazan. Moscow is hoping to expand its energy market in Southeast Asia. With the battlefield in Ukraine largely frozen, both sides have been trading strikes, hoping to ramp up pressure for any potential peace talks. And on Wednesday, G7 leaders meeting in France pledged continued support for Ukraine and pressure on Russia. Kyiv has invested heavily in long-range drones capable of striking far from its borders. Ukraine has said it wants Russians in Moscow and elsewhere to feel the consequences of war at home. Ferdi Akar, Al Jazeera.
A new UN report finds children pay an unprecedented price in conflict last year, with government forces, not armed groups, identified as the leading perpetrators for the first time in 3 decades. Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo reports.
For the first time in 30 years since the United Nations has been tracking it, it's now government forces and not armed groups that are the leading cause of death and injury to children during armed conflict. That's really the main headline of the new UN report, because for the past 3 decades, it's always been rebel groups or extremist groups that have been the main cause for children to be killed during conflict. But that has now changed, and it's now government forces, with Israel topping the list with their crimes against children in the occupied Palestinian territories. A senior UN official told me the shift reflects what they call a growing impunity and a deepening disregard for international law by governments around the world. The overall numbers are staggering. More than 38,000 verified grave violations against children last year alone, and a record 24,000 plus children harmed, the most since the UN began counting. The killing of children alone rose over 30%. In Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory, more than 12,000 violations alone, roughly 3 times the next highest. The UN says it's still verifying reports of another 4,500 children killed in Gaza, meaning that figure could climb. Israeli forces remain on the report's blacklist for the 3rd straight year. No action flows automatically from this report, but it still carries a lot of weight. It could feed sanctions, or it could be used as evidence in the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations.
At the G7 in Evian-le-Bourg, the US and Iran have agreed on an initial memorandum that pledges Iran will not develop or buy nuclear weapon and ends its US naval blockade, reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Al Jazeera's James Bays reports.
By his actions, Donald Trump dominates the G7 meetings he attends.
I'm the boss.
Those actions have led to tensions among the allies, most recently over the war he launched against Iran. The G7 leaders issued a statement welcoming the Memorandum of Understanding now agreed between Iran and the US. The reason? The economic and political upheaval the war's been causing. At a news conference, Trump declared the deal was a breakthrough.
On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more. Ending the current conflict, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. That's what it was all about. That was about 99%. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
The text of the new deal does say Iran will not develop or buy a nuclear weapon, but that's something the Islamic Republic has always argued was its position. The other achievement, the end of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, well, the closure of this most vital economic lifeline was a direct consequence of Trump's decision to take military action. It was open before the war. The president also revealed for the first time that the risk of economic meltdown, with global oil reserves bottoming out, was behind his decision to come to a deal now.
But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid, it's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam?
The G7 has now concluded, but the diplomacy is not over. This is just an interim deal, and some of the thorniest questions surrounding Iran's nuclear deal have been left to the 60-day phase that now starts. James Bays, Al Jazeera, Evian-le-Bourg in France.
Thanks, Dominic. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it to the headline news for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.